Good morning, CSL, and welcome. Happy Martin Luther King weekend. We celebrate the legacy and the teachings of, I'm going to say, my number one influence as being a minister here. So I welcome you, and we're here to celebrate today. Are you willing to celebrate with me? Yes or yes? Here at CSL, we have 7 core values, and they are love, healing, oneness, abundance, spiritual growth, diversity, and I missed one already. What is it? Service. Thank you, Sir C. Being of service. And today we're focusing on love. And I'm going to ask Kirby and our youth department to come up and to share what love means to them. Let's give them a big hand as they're making their way up to the pulpit here. Yes. Welcome, you guys. Come on up. We have a very special presentation about love.
Hello, my name is Xavier. You might know me from Shimmer the Glowworm, the play. If you know me, good for you. But there's other important things that I have to say. On Thursday, March 2nd, 1963, the streets of the city of Birmingham, Alabama, rang out with singing. Thousands of black students as young as 4 and no older than 18 raised their voices as they marched through the streets to protest violence against their community. Their week-long protest, called the Children's March, resulted in the integration of their city. Today, we raise our voices with the love, joy, and peace that Spirit brings us. We celebrate the diversity and creativity each of us has been given. And we do this together as one community. Hand in hand, here at CSL, we have overcome today.
Yes.
Now let's listen to our CSL children raise their voices in the celebration of love for people every shape, size, and color, and for the peace and power we have to be ourselves today. And so it is.
We have overcome. We have
In the name of love, that's why we're here today. Dr. Chris said to me, you're going to speak on Martin Luther King's birthday. I went, okay, yeah, I'm good. I can do that. It's an honor. Martin Luther King happens to be one of my top 5 influential people in my life as a minister, so an honor. It wasn't until my best friend, my oldest friend, came into town and said, yeah, ask the black guy to speak on Martin Luther King's day, no pressure. No pressure. No pressure because I stand up here and I'm anchored by my family. I'm anchored by my ancestors. My father played professional baseball for the farm team for St. Louis Cardinals back in the day where integration was not popular. And this morning I woke up, couldn't sleep. Of course, it's the day before you speak. And I'm going through finding my father online because we had lost a lot of the records of his time as a baseball player. But I found him online this morning. I just started to cry. From 1957 until 1962, my father played where? In Florida. He played for the Daytona Beach Islanders. And I looked at his scoring, I looked at his stats, and it was wonderful to see that he had done some incredible things throughout a time that was very limited for black men. My mother, she went to Alabama State University in Montgomery, where she passed out the leaflets to let everyone know that there was going to be a boycott of the buses started by Rosa Parks. My brother was the first black kid to go to a segregated school in Alexander City, Alabama. My mom, my grandmother, my grandfather, and my aunts and uncles, we're from Selma, so we were there, or they were there, for the Edmund Pettus Bridge March to Montgomery. Both times. Bloody Sunday, you know the song, and that is about that experience. So I bring to this pulpit, as I stand in front of you, the first African-American minister here for CSL Fort Lauderdale. I bring a lot of heart. I bring a lot of love. I bring a lot of a willingness to see a community that is diverse and full of inclusivity. When I was asked by Dr. Chris, are you willing to come to Florida? And I'm like, Florida? And then I thought about it, and I went to my spiritual teacher at the time, Michael Beckwith, and he said, you're going to Florida. There's a reason you're being called. I surrendered. I didn't know what the reason was until I got here and realized what I was here to do. So I want to start off with one of our quotes from our manifesto. It's also what I consider the purpose statement of why we're here. It's also a creed that we live by, and it says this: we are not just connected, we are co-creative partners in the healing of the world. So what are we healing from? Today we're healing from homophobia, we're healing from racism, we're healing from sexism, xenophobia, we're healing from transphobia, we are healing from anything that separates us and holds us back. As we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King, his message was about equality. See, during the time and still today, there is an inequality in freedom, in rights, in economic experience. It's still happening. So some people ask, why are we still talking about this? Because we still need to talk about this. If we're a community of love, we're called for to stand up for what is right, stand up for what is just. Martin Luther King's message, and yes, we celebrate his birthday, but we celebrate his message. His message was a message of hope. It gave hope to people who felt like there was no hope. It was a turning around in community for people to rise up and to believe again. See, what made Martin so dangerous, and yes, he was on the FBI most wanted and the FBI most dangerous list, what made him so dangerous was his ability to mobilize and get people moving. His message was equality, social justice, prosperity for all, inspiration, change. Listen, Martin knew that if one group of people was not free, we all could not be free. See, we talk about oneness, we talk about coming together in the space of love, but if I don't have the same rights that you have the same rights, and if you don't have the same rights that I have the same rights, then there's something missing in the collective. Here at CSL, we're called to bring forth this message of love, message of oneness. MLK was known as the moral compass of our country. On August 28, 1963, there was a march on Washington, and they say that there was 200,000 people, but we know it was more. People who were there, my family members who were there, had the account that some people believe there were 30,000 on the March of Washington in front of the Lincoln Memorial. Can you imagine being there? This message of nonviolence, this message of the peaceful revolution was influenced by Gandhi. In this message, in his speech, I Have a Dream, for me, arguably one of the most important messages of our time, I Have a Dream, he had a call to action. He asked us as Americans, and I'm asking us today, to rise up to our creed. He said, rise up to our creed, and he quoted our Constitution. He says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men, and I want to add in today, all women, are treated or created equal. And this self-evidence he talked about, self-evidence truly means that there is without reason or proof. It just is. But we know when that was written, it was only for a certain group of people. He also asks us to forgive. It was his dream that former slaves and former slave owners will sit down in the table of harmony. Would sit down at the table of harmony. For us to come together, there would have to be forgiveness, and there would have to be love, and openness of acceptance. So I know that one of my first experiences here at CSL, I did a forgiveness workshop. And through the help of this leadership of Dr. Chris, I got to tap into something that was unforgiving in my heart. See, we had just started to really kind of come out of what we experienced in 2020 with George Floyd and all the injustices that we saw from the pandemic. And I felt, okay, there's something here that I'm not willing to forgive yet. And what came into my heart was enslavement, the inequality that people that look like me experience every single day. Was I willing to step into that place of forgiveness? And the word was yes, because I couldn't be here today if I was not willing to forgive. Willing to forgive, move forward, but never forget. Because if we forget, we will repeat again. And that is what's happening today. We're repeating some of these same things that they experienced in the 60s. You know, Martin talked about the valley will be engulfed. And the valley being engulfed, I believe the valley is a low point of racism. It's a low point of sexism. It's a low point of homophobia. And the engulfment means natural occurrence to make things smooth again, and that is love. Martin talked a lot about love. He said that when you are faced with abuse verbally or physically, when the dogs are attacking you, when you are feeling the water in your back, you show up as love. When they go low, we go high. Same thing. Someone agrees with me in here. Yeah, thank you. So love is the key here. Love is our key. Love is the answer. Martin also talked about the hills being exalted and the mountains being made low. And yes, that's from the Bible. Yes, he quoted because he was a Baptist preacher. He said, in this idea of the hills being exalted and the mountains being made low, that is in our own consciousness if we want to bring new thought to it, because sometimes we see these mountains of being untouchable, the mountains of a world that works for everyone, a world that is designed that no matter how you look, you love, you are welcome to the table, you just want to have love on the plate. That's it. So he talked about these things that we are called to reach for. we make low in our consciousness, knowing that it is possible to change this planet. We change the nation. Consciousness creates form, so we see a world that works for everyone, then we get into action. One of my favorite parts of the I Have a Dream speech was this. He said that all God's children with a new meaning will sing, "My country 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. Land where my father died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside let freedom ring." And he went on to speak about where freedom needs to ring in America, but I'm calling for freedom to be sung all over the world. This is a global movement. It's not a moment, it's a movement that's continuing on and on and on. So what's the answer? Here's our answer. Spiritual activism. Spiritual activism is simply this. It's an action that's fueled by spirit. It's an action that comes from a place of prayer, of meditation, of affirmation, of fellowship. We move from spirit, we move with the authority of love to change this planet. And it's no longer a compartmentalized idea, so we think that, spirituality is over here, and socialism is over here, and spiritual activism is over here, and this is socialism, and this is this, and this is that. No. It's the experience of God, it's the experience of love, it's everywhere. So if you are a lover, which I am, a lover for life, we stand up for what is right. And we have to also believe, and we also have to shift our consciousness that one movement is not affected by the other movement. All movements are affected. So where the civil rights was the appearance, it was actually a movement for all people. There was this idea that, that's just for the black people. No, it was for all people. So what happens in the civil rights movement actually propelled the gay rights movement and the women's movement. I found a video where another one of my greatest influences is John Lewis, talks about how one movement can influence another movement. Let's play that video, Brandon.
Lewis has been a consistent progressive voice in Congress since arriving in 1987. While he is honored and lauded often for his role in the civil rights movement of the 1960s, he sees an extension of those battles today on issues such as gay marriage.
It reminds me of another period in the state. It is time for the state to move in the right direction. Gay marriage equality, is here to stay. And it's my belief, I don't want to read the Supreme Court, but you cannot have state courts define a federal court. When people were asked Dr. King about interracial marriage, at one time in the state of Alabama, black people and white people could marry, or in the state of Virginia, some of the other southern states, or other parts of our country. Dr. King said, races don't fall in love and get married. Individuals fall in love and get married. So if you're going to have an equal protection under the 14th Amendment to the Constitution, you cannot say it's good for some people and not good for other people. You cannot have equality for some and not equality for all. So it's time for Alabama, like some of the other states, to fall in line. This is the 21st century.
See, we're all connected. So one movement fuels another movement. We continue to rise up together. I want to bring to light a few individuals who was very adamant and very influential in the civil rights movement, but they were also they were also openly gay. If you don't know these people's names, please Google James Baldwin, Lorraine Hansberry, Pauli Murray, Baynard Rustin. I want to bring to light Lorraine Hansberry, who wrote A Raisin in the Sun, and we just lost one of our greatest actors, Sidney Poitier. And last night I had a Sidney Poitier film festival. I love it because I truly believe that right before I speak, I got to release this and just do something. So I wanted to honor this weekend that we're heading into. So I watched A Raisin in the Sun, cried like a baby. And then I watched Lilies of the Field. Ooh, what a powerful experience of everything that was happening at that time. And we can take this message today. Baynard Rustin, believe it or not, was very open, and he stood side by side with King. He stood side by side with King and says, oh, by the way, y'all, I'm gay. And he was arrested many times for that. And he also knew that if one group of people were not free, none of us. So this was more about a black movement. It was a movement of equality for all people. Here's the problem with spiritual activism, and we've seen this before, and we've experienced this. Spiritual activists are marked dangerous. They get put on the FBI list. Some are crucified. Some are put in jail. These activists that would stand up for what is right for all people, MLK, Gandhi, Jesus the Christ, Malcolm X, Mother Teresa, Nelson Mandela, Maya Angelou, it goes on and on and on. They said yes to equality. So I want to give you 5 steps when you are willing to become a spiritual activist. Because I hope that we all know that there is something that we can do. Number 1, recognize the dis-ease. There is a dis-ease that's still happening, that's still going on today, not just with the black-white race thing. It is with our sexes, is with who we show up and how we love. There is a dis-ease, not disease, dis-ease in how we show up in this world. Number 2, just agree. I can do something. Maybe your something is standing up when you hear in your office an off-color joke, or I don't believe in microaggression, I believe in racism. Or maybe you hear a sexist joke. Maybe you can say something, that doesn't feel quite right for me. Or maybe you show up at Fort Lauderdale, you become a minister. Or maybe you can get on the front lines, whatever it is, we can all do something to make a difference in this world. Number 3, shift your consciousness. Through prayer and meditation, get the movement of what is mine to do and know you have the courage because you're one in spirit, you're one in love, you can make a difference. Number 4, get into action. A lot of us get these great ideas, I'm going to do something, and you do nothing. You got to get into action. Number 5, this is the big one. Everything that we do from spiritual activism is to experience more love, to give more love, so that we all may share love together. That is why we stand up for what is right. So what is mine to do? We are not just connected, y'all. We are co-creative partners in the healing of the world. At the end of the month, we begin a season of nonviolence. Dr. King was assassinated on April 4th, 1968. Only 5 years, almost 5 years after I Have a Dream speech. But we also celebrate another man who was influential in us coming together as one, Gandhi. So at the end of the month, we begin the season for nonviolence, and I know that our practitioner corps will be doing things, we'll be celebrating and remembering. We have to get into action. See, we can get very comfortable in our beautiful homes. We get very comfortable and come here on a Sunday and get everything filled up and go, oh, I feel really good. And then by Saturday, we're going, why do I not feel so good? And we're coming to get filled up again. But here's the call of spirituality. We must get into action. We must get into action. So I thought it would be appropriate that we end with the words of Dr. King. You don't have to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. That is my quote of inspiration, my favorite quote of Dr. Martin Luther King. Let's hear what Dr. King has said in the voices of our youth.
Of today and tomorrow.
I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up
and live out the true meaning of its creed.
We hold these truths to be self-evident,
that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slaves owners will be able to sit together at the table of brotherhood.
I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi,
a state sweltering with the heat
of injustice,
sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice.
I have a dream that little children
will one day live in a nation
where they will not be judged
by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character.
I have a dream today. I have a dream that
one day, right there in Alabama,
little black boys and little black girls will be able to join hands
with little white boys and white girls
as sisters
and brothers. I have a dream today.
This is our hope. This is the faith I go back to the mountain with. With this faith,
we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope.
With this faith, we'll be able to transform the genuine discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood.
With this faith, we will be able to work together,
pray together,
to struggle together, go to jail together, to stand up for freedom forever, knowing that we will be free one day.
And I say to you today, my friends, let freedom ring.
From the contiguous hilltops of New Hampshire,
let freedom ring. From the mighty mountains of New York,
let freedom ring. From the mighty Alleghenies of Pennsylvania,
let freedom ring.
From the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado, let freedom ring. From the Carpathia slopes of California, but not only there, let freedom ring from the Stone Mountain of Georgia.
Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain in Tennessee.
Let freedom ring for every hill and molehill in Mississippi.
From every mountainside, let freedom ring.
When we let it rain from every village and hamlet, every state and every city,
we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black man and white man,
Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics,
will be able to join hands and sing.
In the words of the old Negro spiritual,
free at last.
Free at last.
Thank God Almighty, we're free at last.
So normally we would end our talk with, and so ends the lesson. But today, I'm ending it, so begins the lesson. We are all called to step out to do something, and there will be so much to learn when we say yes to spiritual activism. So my dear friends, my family, my CSL family, and so begins the lesson. And so it is. Dr. Chris says, I cry a lot because I feel a lot. I feel a lot. I feel the love here. And I feel what happens out there. I feel the peace in here. And I feel the warning out there. We all got that warning at the same time. I feel it.
Thank you for watching, and thanks for supporting CSL. If you'd like to know more about us, check us out on our website or social media. Blessings.